Hello, this is Replaced by Robots. I'm Will, this is Henry.
Yeah, I'm Henry. And that's Will.
We had an idea. We thought that we would start. Dang, I can't talk.
So we decided to. We've been recommending each other albums a lot, and the way we do it is very economic. Like, well, I'll listen to this one if you listen to this one.
Yeah, we'll just swap around, like how most people do it. We'll just swap around albums. If you listen to this, I'll listen to this.
And someone had the idea to do like a double review for the last two albums we did.
Yeah, I was thinking we could start just making a little series here. We're still kind of experimenting with this, but I was thinking we could start just swapping around and talking about the albums that we recommend each other.
And so he recommended that we do that, and I said, I'm unemployed, so yeah.
Yeah. And so am I.
Mm-hmm.
Which album do we want to talk about first?
Let's start with Boards of Canada.
Okay.
Oh, so the first album is Music Has the Right to Children by Boards of Canada. He recommended me this. I'm gonna use my other hand to point. And I listened to it, and it was really good.
You liked it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've kind of already talked about it a little bit. Maybe next time we do this, we'll make it a bit more in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what did you think of Music Has the Right to Children?
Maybe you could provide some. Is there context for the album, or?
Oh yeah,
is it
sure.
Just...
So, Music Has the Right to Children is the sort of, depending on who you ask, debut of the Scottish electronic duo Boards of Canada. They're not Canadian, they're Scottish. It was released in 1998, but it sounds incredibly ahead of its time. It was kind of the first...
Oh, 1998?
Yeah.
I don't know how I forgot that. That's insane.
It is, yeah. And it was kind of among the whole IDM wave with Aphex Twin and Square Pusher. Because it is kind of an IDM album, but it was kind of the first album to combine the lo-fi aesthetic with down-tempo music in the way that this one did. When you hear a lot of bedroom pop artists, hypnagogic pop artists I don't know, Mac DeMarco, Jack Stauber, anyone like that. Mm-hmm. A lot of them have this very retro appeal to them, ooh, we're doing the 80s, but it's in a VHS tape, and it's kind of degraded sounding, but on purpose. Boards of Canada was one of, if not the first band to do that. Obviously, with it being called Music Has the Right to Children, it's, about nostalgia and about the sounds that you hear when you're growing up and kind of tapping into that.
I actually didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, kind of tapping into that kind of unconscious, memory, that kind of thing.
Oh, so, that makes a lot of sense, actually. I have a lot to say about this album, actually.
That's good.
It's just very... It's, unsettling, but also, very calming in a way that I think a lot of, children's media is. I think this is a universal experience. If you look back at, some of the stuff you watch... Teletubbies. It's, Teletubbies vibes, where it's oh, I loved this when I was a kid. It's also deeply unsettling in a way that's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but yeah, there is kind of a... I don't know, because with a lot of children's television, it is really easy to kind of just accidentally traumatize kids. And yeah, there is kind of that element of kind of, ooh.
It's not even that. It's just very... I won't say straight to the brain, but it's very... it's very surreal in a way that it makes sense on a very unconscious level. You can't literally make sense of it, but you know what's going on. I feel that's the Teletubbies vibe in a way.
Yeah, it's very...
It's very similar.
Yeah, I think there's a big... like I said, there's a big unconscious element to it. I feel it's kind of playing with memories you can't really remember on the surface, but I don't know, your brain just kind of recognizes subconsciously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also got these children's voices all over it, which are another thing that's this is kind of oh, that's nice, but also I'm deeply unsettled. Because yeah, I feel if I'm remembering correctly, you can't really tell what they're saying. Is that also...
Yeah, sometimes. Some of the vocal samples are a bit more chopped up to the point where it's pretty unintelligible.
Yes, yeah. The way it chops it up is also kind of weird because it's okay, well, I know that that's a human voice, but they're clearly you can't make out what they're saying at all.
Yeah,
it's they're trapped within this atmosphere that is the album. That's another thing that I'll get to, is the atmosphere. But what were you saying?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say it's it's vocals, but it's not lyrics. Like it's just, it's just saying these are human vocals, but it's not trying to like
Yeah.
communicate
And
anything.
vocals are something that can really humanize albums. I think that's why it can sometimes. That's why, for a lot of people, it's more appealing to have like lyrics versus like just instrumentals in a song. But when you chop it up in that way, it like adds a human element that's also just not right. I think, in a good way, because once again, the atmosphere of this album is incredible. And one thing that I'll like mention again is I was listening to like some of the tracks the other day again, just to like remember what's on there, and I didn't have my headphones connected. I have AirPods, which have this like transparent mode that makes it sound like you're not wearing earbuds. It's really weird, but and it was just playing on my phone, which was in front of me. I was like, oh wow, this has such like a nice sense of space in it, when it was just like literally playing in front of me. And even when I put on headphones, I was still like, oh wow, it feels like it's just right there, which is hard to do with headphones versus like speakers. And I love the way that everything just has such a sense of space. Like,
Yeah,
it feels like a whole like environment of things going on.
for
which I
sure.
really
Yeah.
love. I think you mentioned before that they're influenced by My Bloody Valentine. I think that's especially like with their 2013 album, My Bloody Valentine's also good at that, where it feels like stuff is like going on around you. It's not just like music.
Yeah, I think I did read somewhere that they didn't do a lot of interviews, but I think in one of their interviews they did cite My Bloody Valentine as an influence. But yeah. So, what were some favorite tracks off there?
Oh, I loved Roy G. Biz. Like that one.
That's a classic.
You told me like, oh yeah, that one's like weirdly catchy, and I listened and like, it was actually while we were at the gym together. I was like on the treadmill and I was like, this is weirdly good for treadmill music. And that one especially, I was like, ooh, wow, that bass line goes crazy.
Yeah,
like,
listening
such
to
a groovy
the
bass line.
well, listening to it on the album, because like it kind of has this like intro track before it, and listening to it on the album, it feels like I'm gonna try not to gush about it too much because this is your review, but
well, it's kind of yours too.
well, yeah, but listening to it feels like when you're at a concert and like someone plays the opening riff to a song that everyone loves. Like when it goes on in the album, it's like, just, holy cow! I love this.
Yeah. It's weird, like, trying to pick out favorites, though. I really liked Telepathic Workshop, but it's hard to pick out favorites because it's such, like, a cohesive experience. Like,
It is, yeah.
one thing I noted, I think, actually, I think it was on the way back from the gym, like, since you'd recommended it, I'd like, listened to it a bit by then. But I hadn't listened to it all the way through yet, and I think at some point I just turned to you and I was like, this album's over an hour, Will. You recommended an album that's over an hour.
Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of albums over an hour. Like,
yeah, it's not like it's album length still, but it's like kind of long. And it's weird because it is definitely a high commitment album, at least in my opinion, just because it's so like one cohesive experience. It's very much like, it's like how Pink Floyd fans, like when you just play one of their songs on like a playlist or whatever, they freak out because it's like, well, you have to listen to the whole album.
Yeah.
And it's definitely that kind of album. Like,
yeah, you have to make it past. You can't skip the 10-minute new age intro.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed it though.
Yeah. Oh, I actually forgot to tell you. The last song on there, "Happy Cycling," is technically a bonus track.
Oh. So that means that I will talk about one important thought after this.
Okay. Yeah, I like to think of it as a closer though, because it just feels like a really nice epilogue.
Yeah, no,
But-
there are definitely albums like that where, like Dinosaur Jr., not their first two albums, their second and third albums kind of have that, where on Spotify they have like a bonus track, and this is kind of a tangent, but like on You're Living All Over Me, there's the song Polito, if you're familiar, where it's this like bizarre tape experiment, and it has this like super droney, unsettling outro. And then it kicks into the funniest cover of Just Like Heaven, which is technically not on the album, but I have to listen to it every time just because it's so good as a closer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's, real quick, I don't know how long we're talking about, like, each of these.
Oh, don't worry about
but
it.
I feel like a good point to close on is I guess, closer, One Important Thought. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, One Important Thought. I really appreciated it, actually, because, like, it gives kind of a political context to, like, what's otherwise, like, I find the way albums can be political really interesting, because there's even some stuff that's, like, you're not talking about anything political, but it is political. Like Krautrock is a famous example. But
Yeah.
I appreciate that they kind of like put in. It doesn't feel shoehorned in even. It's just like basically don't support censorship.
Well, I feel like there's kind of a novelty to it too, like because Boards of Canada play around with like tropes and I don't know, like tropes of like recordings and TV messages and stuff. It just kind of feels like at home with that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's literally called like one very important thought or something like that.
Yeah.
It feels like a PSA. So like even though there is a message there, like it still kind of fits into like the aesthetic, I feel like.
Yeah.
Would you give it like a particular like letter or number score?
Well, I mean, it's weird because I'm already not like a huge fan of like assigning that type of stuff to it.
You don't
but,
have to. It's fine.
And this one feels like an especially weird one, just because it feels more like an experience than like something you can go like, oh yes, a 79.8 out of 10. I don't know.
Yeah, this calculates
I'll
to
give it a Teletubbies out of Elmo.
Okay, Teletubbies out of Elmo. That's pretty accurate, actually. Nice.
Less Elmo, more Teletubbies.
Yeah, I'd say so.
What would you give it?
I mean, I think I give it on Album of the Year like a 9 out of 10. I think it's like a little bit too long, but that's like my only complaint.
But it is. But
yeah. All right, I guess we can get into your recommendation. What can you tell me about the Slowdive album? First of all, how do you pronounce that album's name? Like Pygmalion?
Pygmalion, I think.
Pygmalion, okay.
I think. I'm not certain. I've always read it as Pygmalion. Also
Well-
took me a second to remember the name, so maybe I'm not the best
Yeah.
source on this.
Well,
But yeah,
hundreds of thousands of fans can roast us in the replies.
So, I'm not sure how much
comments.
context I feel like I could give a lot of context for this album.
Mhm.
Basically, this was their like "Screw It, No One's Listening" album, because basically,
That's like us.
oh yeah, just like this video.
Yeah.
Um,
Hi.
hello to our 0 viewers. And it's so for context, they were like the super hyped band in the first wave of shoegaze coming from like England, Scotland, Ireland.
Super hype band.
Super hyped.
Hyped.
Yeah,
Okay, I thought you meant
calling
hype.
them like a hype band makes them
Like-
sound more intense. They're like
Yeah, Playboy
slow,
Cardi.
atmospheric, sad music. So that does feel a little weird,
As dream pop goes, you know.
I guess. But they were like they're hyped up by the press like a ridiculous amount, and they're kind of known today as like this example of like, wow, the British press used to suck, like, because basically they were super
Used
hyped up.
to?
They were like,
No, I'm kidding.
well,
I
they
don't
still
follow.
kind of do.
I don't follow British news. Don't make fun of me.
Yeah, no, but basically they were seen as like, oh, this is the band that's going to be huge. This is like the best shoegaze band ever. They're going to be so cool. And then like grunge blew up, and then shoegaze, or no, actually it was kind of after grunge. It was Britpop. Britpop blew up in the UK, and then suddenly all of the like UK press was like, no, actually Britpop's cool. Screw shoegaze, especially screw Slowdive. And like when Souvlaki released, which is like their big masterpiece album, they were playing to like 10 people at most when they toured, and like they got some
Wow.
frankly shocking reviews in the press. Like the most infamous one is saying that like, there are a couple infamous ones, but the like really the one you hear about a lot is this one reviewer who said that Slowdive is more despised than Hitler,
Jeez.
which
I think there's an Enemy review of a Stereolab album that said that.
oh no, didn't know this was like a multiple. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So this was basically their album where they're like, we can just kind of do whatever we want. They messed around a lot with like all these loops and like, let's just make it as weird and like ambient as possible. Just because they knew they'd be dropped from their label, who had recently signed Oasis, I think. And they knew like, no one's gonna listen.
Yeah. Oh, that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
It was their like Creative Liberty album.
Mhm.
Dang. I guess I'll share my thoughts now. I liked. How do you pronounce it again?
Pygmalion?
Pygmalion. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
I really liked Pygmalion. I wasn't like in love with it. It's funny going into it. I kind of expected to either think like, okay, I'm gonna absolutely love this, or I'm gonna be like, it's not really for me. And it kind of fell in between. for me. I thought it was, so it's an ambient pop album. It's ambient pop. I mean, seems like no one can really agree on
I
what
think it's
that
a fitting label.
style is, but yeah, I mean, it is like a dream pop album that is ambient. It reminded me of a lot of, and I haven't listened to a ton of post rock, but it kind of reminded me of like Tortoise or other bands that just have an emphasis on like just giving like a texture and like just that. It was a very, very focused album. It felt like most of the tracks, except for towards the end, which I'll get into, most of the tracks are pretty much just like singularly focused on like, here's a vibe. It's kind of like it's like eating a plate of just like sauces with no bread.
I would disagree with that. I feel
You
like
disagree?
It's like a 3-course meal of just good salads, but just salads.
I
But they're
kind of
good
see what you
salads,
mean.
in
But,
my
like,
opinion.
I feel like, I don't know. It's a very singular album, and I don't mean that as an insult. Like, it just gives you like, hey, here's a little like, it feels very impressionistic. Very like, here's a vibe, here's a texture that we'll give, and like, some of the tracks progress a little, but like it is pretty minimal, and I think it's pretty cool, honestly. There weren't any like major skips or anything. I think each one was just
Major skips.
yeah. I actually listened to half of the album in the car when it was raining outside, and I think that was
perfect.
yeah, it was a really good environment to listen to that album in. I don't know, it was really interesting. Not a lot of like melody. I guess you could kind of hear the
Some.
lyrics, but
Or like the lyrics, Slowdive. It's weird with Slowdive lyrics because some of them are more like emphasize this part of the song. Some of them are more textural. This whole album is so like
yeah,
just for the feeling.
it's very textured.
Like crazy for love. I love that track. That's one where the only lyric is just crazy for love.
Yeah.
Just like the entire time.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I might have been Crazy for Love that kind of reminded me of, weirdly enough, kind of like mid-2000s Animal Collective, which I wasn't expecting, but I guess it makes sense since it's like, neo-psychedelic, definitely experimental. And then there's another track, I forgot which one it was in the second half. I'll look it up on my phone, but my phone is recording the video.
Oh, I have a phone.
Oh, thank you. It was, there was one track that kind of reminded me of like early Fortet, which I wasn't expecting.
Interesting.
Like it kind of had Fortet's like knack for just finding like an acoustic percussive instrument and kind of just focusing on that and creating like kind of an ambient soundscape around that. Yeah, Fortet and Animal Collective were two bands that I wouldn't have expected this to remind me of, but I do really like both of those bands, so was a welcome surprise. I will say where the album did kind of lose me a bit was...
I'll find the album on my library.
Oh, man. And I've only listened to, I've only listened to all the tracks like once or twice. I think I like picked up where I left off at one point, and so there's some tracks I've listened to twice, but so a lot of this might still need to grow on me, but I did think the last few tracks were a bit too, I don't know if melodic is the right word, but they were a bit like they're a bit more kind of in the vein of like traditional dream pop and a bit less just like ambient. And I wasn't as big a fan. Like, I didn't dislike that. I just wasn't as big a fan of that as like the just very like singular ambient pieces.
I can see how that would take you out of it, kind of.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even say it took me out of it. It just, I don't know. I feel like the appeal wasn't quite as much there. But again, I might need to re-listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting album though. I'd never really heard an album like that. Obviously, there's a lot of like post-rock and ambient pop albums that kind of go for a similar like textures thing,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I never heard an album that was that like minimal, but also I don't know, so like soundscapey and atmospheric at the same time. I liked it though. I'd probably give it like I think I gave it a 7 out of 10 on album of the year.
What are some standouts?
The first few tracks I really liked. Oh, there's this one. I wish I remember the name for all of them. It was either Cello Song or the one that was after that kind of had like a slow build. I remember being like, hey, this is like really good.
The first song is kind of like that, like the 9-minute one.
It was one after that. I did really like the first few tracks, especially Crazy for Love, which...
Or Crazy for You.
Crazy
The
for
lyric is
You.
Crazy for Love. I keep forgetting that.
I think I remember Trellises? I can't pronounce any of these.
Let's see.
Yeah, that one. The one with like the kind of like Western sounding guitar riff. Okay, you can pause it now.
Okay.
It's gonna sound terrible on the audio.
Oh, absolutely. Through the speakers and like coming. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked all of the ones where like I liked when you could tell what instrument was playing, but it was kind of like just that. Like it wasn't really being played like that instrument. I don't know. Any of the ones that were just very like, I don't know, just like one little ambient piece I really liked a lot. But yeah, I give it like a 7 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good. Not like, it didn't like blow me away, but I thought it was an interesting album. I don't really have that many like issues with it. It just, I don't know. It was interesting. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, and just one last thought, I guess. I feel like it would be a shame if I didn't talk about the opener, Rudy, whatever it is. It's like 10 minutes and super ambient, just kind of slowly builds, which isn't usually the kind of thing I like, but I feel like the first time I listened to that in full, it was just one of those moments that I was like, whoa. Music.
Yeah. And
Which really pulls you in.
yeah, and like it's not going to be for everyone because I did kind of listen to that and like especially if you're expecting, I keep on saying post-rock, I don't know why, but if you're expecting more of a post-rock project, you might listen to that and kind of expect it to go somewhere super cinematic and climactic and stuff. When it doesn't really, it kind of just stays in the same like it progresses a little bit, but it mostly just stays in like kind of the same like vibe. I wouldn't say that one was my favorite, but I did think it set the tone pretty well and it was pretty interesting. But yeah, pretty good album. I feel like we should end this with like recommendations for the next time, but
Ooh. Let's...
Oh, do you have some in mind?
Let's pull something up. Or maybe we can like... Maybe we should do it based on like a theme. Like...
Yeah, I kind of want these to be like connected.
What's today's theme? What do we think?
It's atmospheric? Oh, you mean
Oh yeah,
next one?
okay, yeah. No, I meant the next one. But yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
today's theme was
It's
I guess, atmospheric.
That's what it is.
Ambient, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
If you can't tell, this is our first time doing this.
Yep.
There's this one album I had in mind. Oh, yeah. I've been talking to you about this album, but I would say either Spiral by Darkside or Nothing by Darkside, their newest album.
Okay, which one do you think has more of like a distinct theme to it, so I can choose one that's along with the theme?
I don't know about theme. I mean, I know the first one. Yeah, the first one is a bit noisier. The second one is kind of more dubby and like, I mean, also very atmospheric, but also very. They're both albums that are very hard to. I've talked about this before. Very hard to categorize.
Maybe that's the theme. Hard to categorize.
Yeah, like what the heck am I even listening to for? We could do that.
What should I?
So do you want to do Spiral or Nothing?
Spiral.
Okay.
I don't know the difference, so.
Well, yeah. Spiral's a bit more, I'm not sure how to describe it, but I guess that fits the theme.
Or maybe less so hard to define and more just like a variety.
Yeah.
Like the theme is like eclecticism. That's a good one. Okay. So then I will be recommending to you I Can Hear the Heart Beating as One by Yo La Tengo.
Oh, Yo La Tengo.
I like this one a lot.
It's a band that I see mentioned all the time, but I never got into. So yeah.
They're that kind of band.
All right. Yo La Tengo and Darkside. Well, stay cool. Yeah. Unless you don't want to, but
stay lame
I would advise
if you want
for
to.
it. Yeah, but I would recommend cool personally.
Don't die.
All right.